Yo people, what's happening? Welcome back to another video. You can probably tell by the name of the video what it's going to be about. My stretching slash mobility routine. I think it's something that's overlooked kind of when it comes to the gym and fitness and that. Like, people just go into the gym nowadays and just hit the weights all the time. Just day after day, just hitting the weights. And saying that, that's what I used to do. Mobility, or stretching, it's an important thing when it comes to the gym and that. I found doing mobility and stretching and that improved most of my lifts. So I was tight in the shoulders, very tight. I still am kind of. Let's say the bench press, my bench press improved massively when I started doing different mobility and stretching in my shoulders. So I had very much internal rotation in my shoulders. So internal rotation is let's say your shoulders rolling forward. So that's what you mostly see nowadays in people when you just lift weights all the time. The shoulders rolling forward all the time and tight in that area. So let's say you lift weights all the time, and let's say, because most of the things that we do is on the front plane of our body. So you lift weights, you're pushing out. Let's say you train chest all the time and shoulders. So you keep training chest and shoulders all the time, you're gonna get so tight in that area. What that does, let's say you get so tight in the chest area, what that does, it pulls on the front delt and it pulls it forward kind of. So that's internal rotation in the shoulders. But that's only shoulders. There's different areas as well that you can have your internal rotation. Whereas external rotation is back, your shoulders back, and that'll give you a high chest kind of, and obviously your lats as well are going to be engaged. But yeah, that's what we had for ages. I had tight shoulders a lot. As I was saying, most of the things that we do is on the front plane of our body. So phone all the time, we see people on the phone and the shoulders rolling forward, and they're just not aware of it. So it's about being aware of it as well. Most of the exercises and most of the stretches kind of, it's going to be static stretching, static stretches that I'm going to put in the video. So static stretching is holding a stretch, where there's two types of stretching. There's dynamic and there's static. The dynamic is movement through a stretch, and static is just holding a stretch in one position. So yeah, you do your dynamic stretching before your workout and then static stretching after workout, because a survey was done, static stretching before the workout decreases your muscular strength by a certain amount of percent. I'm not fully sure, but that's why you should do dynamic stretching before your workout and static after. Where dynamic before your workout, a study done that was increases your power output during exercise. So that's one of the reasons why you should be doing dynamic stretching before your workout. So gonna head to the gym now, and I'm gonna do a voiceover thing where I just run and show all the stretches and that I do, and explain them as well. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Yo, what's happening? So first stretch I like to go into is this. It's called the baby pose, I think. So yeah, the muscle groups that we targeting or stretching would be your lats, so in your back muscles, and your chest as well. So I like to move to each side. So move to the left, I'll get deeper stretch into that right lat, and the move to the opposite side, then obviously get a deeper stretch into the left lat. You also stretch out your tibialis anterior, which is your muscle lateral to your shin bone, because your foot is in a plantar flexion position and you're sitting back onto it. You'll feel that stretch in that tibialis anterior as well. So it's a really good stretch. So from here then, a push up into this stretch. I'm not fully sure the name, but I just call it a push up ab stretch. So yeah, you'll feel it in your lower back as well, but mainly you should be feeling it in your core. So as you look up to the ceiling, you'll get a better stretch on that ab area. So this one is more of a dynamic stretch for your lower back. So really exaggerate that arch in your lumbar spine and then push up into a hollow position. It's really getting that stretch on the lower back. Let's do a few of these and then move into the next stretch then. So this next stretch, you bring one leg over and keep the other leg straight. And you should aim for your tricep at your knee, and you should be pushing off your knee to be feeling that in your glutes and your lower back as well. So to be specific, you should be feeling that in your gluteus medius, which is on the outer side of your glute muscle. So you can hold that for about 60 seconds and then switch over to the next leg. So this next stretch is called the pigeon stretch. So if you look out into the street, you'll see the odd pigeon down it. No, I'm only messing. No, but it's a really good edge stretch. If you have tight hips, I recommend you do this stretch. So it's going to stretch out that hip rotator and the muscles around that glute area, as well as your hip flexors as well. You can start by just sitting upright in this stretch. You don't have to lie deep into it if you're not as mobile in that hip area. The only reason I'm lying down deep into it because I'm quite mobile and flexible in my hips. So you'll see me like moving around in the stretch just to find a deep stretch in that, just to get that deep stretch in the hips like. So you can hold that for about 60 seconds and then you can switch over then to the next leg. I do that about 3 times and then you look to get deeper into the stretch each time, if you know what I mean. This next stretch, you start by putting one leg across and the other up straight. So what this is going to stretch here is again your hip rotator and your glutes as well. And then as well as your hamstring getting stretched on that back leg. I just hold the back leg and push against it just to keep that tension on that glute and really get a good stretch on that. I wasn't really feeling stretching my glute here, so I was put my leg down kind of and push up against my foot to get a deeper stretch in that glute and hip rotator. Again, you can hold that for about 60 seconds in that stretch and then switch over then to the other leg. So moving on to another hamstring stretch now. This is one of the main stretches I'll do for hamstrings. You can start by bringing one foot up to your leg and the other one out straight. And then if you can, aim to touch your toes. But if you can't, don't worry. You can always just go to where you feel that stretch on the hamstring until you get flexible enough to be able to touch your toes. This next stretch is called the pancake stretch. You can get fully down, like chest to the floor. Obviously you can see I'm not as fully mobile or flexible yet in the hips or groin area to get fully down, chest to the floor. So I just push out as far as I can until I feel that stretch in the hamstrings and groin. So yeah. Then I'll move over to touch my toes to get a deeper stretch in the hamstring area. Hold that for about 30-60 seconds and then switch over then to the next leg. So this next stretch is going to stretch out your quadratus lumborum. It's a muscle in your posterior abdominal wall. People often refer to it as a back muscle because it's posterior, meaning in your back. But it's abdominal muscle really. If you're somebody that sits at an office or like works at a desk all day, this muscle needs to be stretched like regularly, I feel, because it tightens up very quick. So yeah, this is a really good stretch for stretching out your quadratus lumborum. So moving on to quads now. This is a pretty basic stretch to do. You can hold it for about 60 seconds and then switch over then to the next leg. So I use a band here. You can see now I use a band just to I find a deeper stretch on me quads when I use a band, and I just generally it's just better kind of. So yeah, I'll push against the band, like push my foot out to create an active stretch, and just get a deeper stretch on that quad muscle. So this stretch is for your hip flexor. You'll actually see in the video I point it out where you should be feeling it. I start by bringing out one foot out and then laying them forwards to shift your body weight onto that forward leg. So this will then increase the stretch on your hip flexor. Then to feel the stretch on the back leg, the hip flexor on the back leg, you should be squeezing your back glute. By squeezing your back glute, it will increase, or it will kind of move that leg forward, which will increase the tension or stretch on that hip flexor on the back leg. So next stretch, I don't think we have much more stretches to go. So yeah, this next stretch is called the frog stretch, I think, or else frog pose, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's gonna mainly stretch your groin area or that hip rotator as well. So again, you'll see me kind of lie down and sit back more into the stretch, just again to get that deeper stretch on that specific area. So in this case being your groin and your hip rotator. So last lower body stretch, this is called the couch stretch. So first of all, you start by bringing one knee into the wall as close as you can, and then bring the opposite leg out, kind of like the hip flexor stretch that we done like I think 2 stretches ago. So then try sit up into the stretch if you can, depending on how flexible and mobile you are in those areas like quads and hip flexors. But I kind of recommend this stretch enough. It's really good stretch for if you have tight quads or hip flexors. So I'm moving on to some upper body stretching now. This mainly is going to stretch out your chest muscle. But again, hold for about 60 seconds and switch over onto the next arm and do this about 3 times, looking to get deeper stretch in that muscle each time. So this next stretch is really good if you have tight shoulders. It's for your chest and your anterior delt. So I'm using a foam roller and 2 weighted plates here. So first of all, you start out by lying flat on the foam roller. Make sure it's down the centre of your back and your feet up against the wall then. So first of all, I start out by bringing your arms out. I show here in the video where you should be feeling it, so in your upper chest and anterior delt. And because I'm so mobile and like flexible in that area, you can use plates now. So put your hands underneath the plates, which is going to force then your shoulders into an external rotation position, as I explained it earlier on in the video. And then the foam roller is going to push you out, giving you a high chest. So it's going to give you a really good stretch on that chest area and anterior delt. So again, if you have internal rotation, I can't stress enough, this stretch is unbelievable for getting rid of internal rotation in your shoulders. So last but not least, just 3 simple movements with the resistance bands, just stretching out the chest muscle, your lats and your shoulders as well. I appreciate you listening to me talk and show you for the past 20 minutes or so. No, I'm only messing. But yeah, I hope you actually learned something from it, and you're going to incorporate some type of mobility / stretching routine into your training. But yeah, if you want to see more stretching, kind of more advanced kind of stretches, follow me Instagram, or I'll stick it at the end of the video. But yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Alright people, gonna leave it at that. Hope you learned something from it. If you did enjoy it, leave a thumbs up down below. Comments what you thought about all that shit. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.